We finally had a Squadron 42 update in January 2022, looking at what's been going on over the last 10 weeks or so, and what's being focused on now for the single-player campaign of Star Citizen. We know that Chris Roberts is going to be in the UK to help finish out Squadron 42 Episode 1 over the next year, as Cloud Imperium also expands its studios, largely focused in the UK and Europe. We don't have a date of Squadron 42's release yet, but you can expect that Cloud Imperium will start talking a lot more about its development in the coming weeks. Could it be released at the end of the year? Maybe, but we just don't know yet. Anyway, let's take a look at the summary of the Squadron 42 focused report. The gameplay story team updated and tweaked poses for various characters and polished several scenes. They then received a significant amount of mocap that was shot at the end of October, which they've now started to use, allowing them to make a number of anticipated updates to several scenes across various chapters, improving and finishing out some of them. They also overhauled one of the walk and talk sections in Chapter 5 to give them great control of the animation. This took a lot of work, but helped the chapter progress as well. They also took on 2 new scenes in Chapter 14 that take place in a busy environment. They started their past prototyping the other animation and activities going on around the scenes themselves. A new and improved turret metric was devised, allowing the team to confidently update scenes featuring turrets, and they began implementing new audio and face and body animations into random to NPC scenes. A gameplay story said, "It's been surprising to see how much final audio improves a scene, and it's great that our NPC characters now reply to the cast characters." The cinematics team have been working on larger staging tasks and progressing with scenes that they started at the beginning of Q4 2021. They've delivered a cinematic-specific ship object container for use with VFX. The required effects are packaged into the ship itself, so aren't as demanding on performance, allowing several to be added to a scene without affecting performance. The ships don't have any features or mechanics linked to them, so they can be fired upon or destroyed without creating issues elsewhere. An escape pod was reworked to give better view outside, while work progressed on a scene involving a tram. The team improved the way conversations are hinted at and then triggered, creating a speech bubble icon to show players important characters that they can talk to in more populated areas. As players can interact with most crew members, this enables them to find key characters and conversations without approaching every NPC. They're currently deciding on how to display is going to be orientated and how to lead players to the ideal approach direction for specific characters. VFX began working on a vertical slice section of a key outdoor location. The collaboration with cinematics team also continued with additions and refinements made to epic battle scenes mentioned in the previous reports. They also decided to revisit some weapon effects requiring a visual update. The level design guys, the space and dogfight team worked on flight components for chapters that focus on points of interest, expanding some of the investigation gameplay in the game's early chapters. They also worked alongside the other feature teams to refine turret gameplay. The FPS team focused on getting FPS components playing through without blockers and implemented the additional features delivered in the last quarter of 2021. The social design team continued with a significant task of implementing all in-game scenes, which will be the case for many months to come. For AI content in Squadron 42 specifically, they focused on the deck and crew and security AI behaviors. The deck crew activity brings life and movement to hangars and landing pads, with each character being assigned a specialized role, including ordnance, who are responsible for a ship's weapons and rearmament, mechanics, in charge of repairs and maintenance, and air traffic controllers, who assign landing zones to inbound craft and outbound craft. The next step is to build on the basic functionality to make the whole crew work together to restore full functionality to damaged ships and vehicles. For Vandal combat, a section of gameplay was completed where enemy perception is reduced when searching for the player, so stealth mechanics to some extent. This led to discussions of how to implement low visibility and other sense reductions across the board. They then prototyped the initial implementation for this specific gameplay use, which will also be used as a springboard for fully developing the feature. Vandal Perception and Investigation progressed too. Towards the end of the year, animation worked on Vandal and human combat and made improvements to human AI locomotion. The facial team continued with quality passes on animations, affected by improvements to character head geometry, while the mocap team supported a story shoot and are solving the gathered data. Gameplay story worked alongside level design to implement and correct various story scenes that play throughout gameplay. The Squadron 42 character art team focused on completing the Navy faction, which involved updating and finalizing major characters and outfits. The Navy makes up around half of all the characters in the campaign, with the majority being hero tier characters, so it will be a significant milestone when completed. More sort of gameplay feature-based stuff. The Squadron 42 feature team continued developing the in-game character customizer, improving support for head selection and hair, and supporting the design team with the transition animations and the user interface. They undertook R&D on the conversation inner thought, primarily on how it appears when players approach an NPC and whether there are any restrictions on where it triggers from. They also optimized some cinematic heavy scenes, including simplifying ways to create lightweight vehicles, improving multi-threaded sequence batch updating, and checking they're not loading more than necessary. Boom, that's it for that summary of that monthly report. We have omitted engine and AI updates largely because I want to do a separate video on that and talk about that in regards to some other bits and bobs. So Squadron 42 is actually really starting to come together now. From their updates, they are actually starting to move on to largely finishing off scenes, or actually getting to that area where they're starting to finish a load of these major parts of the game off. Now, yes, there are still some core features which remain unfinished, and there is certainly still a lot more work to do. But you can start to see from what they're talking about here, they're starting to put a lot of this together, they're starting to finalise certain areas, and it's looking good for a release for Squadron 42, in my opinion, within the next 18 months. I'm hoping we see it by the end of the year. I've expected Squadron 42 to be released since 2017, so take that with a pinch of salt when I talk about any form of release dates, because I'm pretty bad with them. We should see some more updates in the roadmap progress tracker relating to Squadron 42 soon. Also, we know that Cloud Imperium's new sort of feature release strategy for the persistent universe and how they will implement features is going to be reflected in the roadmap soon. They put it into Squadron 42 to sort of test it out in that branch of the game, and then they don't release features in isolation anymore. They want gameplay when it goes into the persistent universe, but it will affect certain things because they will prioritize obviously Squadron 42 stuff even more now. Core features of Squadron 42, ships of Squadron 42, that sort of stuff will then obviously make its way into the persistent universe, but the lion's share of development is on Squadron 42 from the Cloud Imperium studio, and we think that maybe there's around 750 employees at the moment working on Star Citizen. That is going to be expanding out a huge amount more over the next couple of years with Cloud Imperium Studios. In the UK, there's another like 600 potential hires that they can expand to now with their new larger studio, with having over 1,000 devs there potentially. They're expanding out their Turbulent studio. They've got a new studio in Frankfurt, so there's a huge amount of devs coming on board, and hopefully the talent and the management there will allow them to be able to complete Squadron 42 at a much quicker pace. But what do you think? Do you think we could see Squadron 42 Episode 1 released at the end of this year? Or is it still some time away? Do you like the progress that's being made? Or is it too slow? Or is it not enough being shared about the project? Do you think that expanding the company, 1,300 plus devs, 1,500 devs, is far too many for Cloud Imperium, and it's going to be hell to sort of leverage and manage that? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What is best in life? To crush your enemies? To see them driven before you? And to hear the lamentations of their women? No, of course not. It's NordVPN. I never saw Conan the Barbarian checking his bank balance and then watching some cool shows on Netflix, all while protecting his privacy and being super secure. To be honest, I can't even remember Conan wearing a shirt. Silly Conan. And now, a big old snake god's got your internet history. Good job. Don't be a Conan the Barbarian. Check out NordVPN. Links below for powerful discounts too. Every month we have a ship giveaway for January 2022. It's for a Drake Cutlass Steel, a light assault dropship variant of the Cutlass. perfect for attacking Jumptown and similar narcotic processing areas. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that Star Citizen ship is comment on any of my videos made during the month. More details down below. If you would like to further support the channel, consider clicking the join button under my videos or becoming a Patreon. Comments, suggestions, likes and shares all help the channel massively too, so always feel welcome to share your opinion or feedback. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the verse.